really my whole life, I kind of was always a little outside the box. I could always kind of see things. So I remember being as young as like 5 years old and telling my mom, like, hey, I'm seeing spirits. I'm probably like 5 minutes after that, it was like a bright, all consuming light, like a light that was so bright that you couldn't even see anything. And we all was frozen in time, right? And then in the distance, I could see like a silhouette of like a tall, probably like an 8 foot tall being, validated that, we had this otherworldly experience. With these obstacles, it's really just the universe trying to get us to level up. And, based upon how you perceive these situations will determine, how you navigate through them.
Billy Carson here, aka Forbidden Knowledge. Welcome to a brand new episode of Forbidden Knowledge Podcast. Today I have an amazing music artist and thought leader. His name is Merkabah 13. He's an artist, a producer, and an engineer based in Atlanta, Georgia. He's going to share some incredible thoughts about manifestation with us today. Welcome to the show. It's glad to have you on.
Peace, man. Good to be here, man.
All right, man. Throw the fours up.
Oh yeah, gotta throw the four. I mean, I throw up the three. This is like the east side, so where I'm from.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I throw up, it's all energy.
It's all energy, man. I remember when I first started throwing up the fours, people thought I was throwing up gang signs. It's like, forbidden knowledge,
Exactly. Yeah, people get me with that too, man. Like, I be throwing up certain hands. They be like, oh, he in the Illuminati. Like, he sold his soul. I be like, come on, bro. This is ancient science, bro. Before all of this government conspiracy, this, none of these hand signs are evil, bro. It's all energy.
It's all energy. They don't understand mudras. I did a whole video on the mudras, but I guess maybe they didn't see that either. So yeah, they still get a little carried away,
Yeah.
But it's pretty funny because, my son took some photos about maybe a year ago, professional photos.
Okay.
And he had a mudra that he was doing, which was this one here, right?
Yeah.
There we go. And then I got about 100 messages and comments about, he's in the Illuminati and I keep trying to tell people there's no black people in the Illuminati, number one. We didn't get invited.
Come on, bro. Like, yeah, it's always funny to hear it. I mean, at this point, man, I almost take it as a compliment because I'm like,
right.
It's basically like you associating me with having power and, control in reality, which I do have power and control in my reality, but I'm not a part of these secret society groups. It's really just crazy, but it's all good at the end of the day.
Yeah, I know. They've connected us to power, control, and dominance.
Exactly.
It's all about a person's perception. But today, anyway, we're going to be talking about, and speaking about that, we're going to be talking about manifestation, which has a lot to do with the person's perspective on their own reality or in reality as a whole.
Exactly.
And a lot of the times, people's perception of what reality is can conform how they're living and what they're going through, and can create and actually really project what's already inside of themselves.
Facts.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about, because I've heard you talk so much about a lot of the topics that I just absolutely love, about reality and manifestation. In your personal opinion, how can a person, or how does a person control their reality tunnel, or how do they impact their own manifestation capability through their conscious thoughts?
That's a good question, man. I mean, it really all starts with just like you being able to tune out the outside world. That's really the beginning, because like from the beginning of our life, we're constantly being told what reality is. We're constantly being told what to think, what to believe in, how we should behave, how we should do certain things. So, we never even really get a chance to start to create our reality because everyone is kind of force feeding us what we should be doing. So the first thing is like you have to actually like go within yourself and even find out what you want to create, and if what you're trying to create is really something that you want, or if it's something that was just programmed into you, through society or just through these outside forces. So that's the first thing. It's like, you have to become conscious of yourself first, and from then you can actually start, working on concrete things and certain ways to actually do it. But it starts there. I feel like a lot of times, man, people just get, so bombarded. It's like you got the religious programming, you got, wherever your neighborhood is from, whatever your parents believe in, whatever your friends believe in. So we think that that's reality when it's really a lot bigger than that. So the first thing is just opening up your mind to the fact that, this realm that we live in is infinite, and it's really nothing but infinite possibilities. So you have to be able to, decide what it is, that you actually want. So that's really like the first step. And, until you can kind of do that, until you can kind of just clear out all the noise and really begin to go within, you'll really just be chasing what other people have laid out for you. So that's kind of where I would start at.
Yeah, no, that's powerful, and that's so absolutely true. What you're kind of saying is what I said before, even just a few days ago. I said, we are not our thoughts; we are the observers of our thoughts.
Exactly.
And so a person needs to create this certain level of separation from, their thoughts and realize that they can observe them. And once you can become the observer of your thoughts, you now become the observer of the programming code. All the
Exactly.
code you talked about, like from the hood where you grew up, right? I know in
Yeah.
my neighborhood, there were certain rules and laws you had to live by if you wanted to survive the day, you know?
Facts.
And
Facts.
if you didn't live by those rules, man, you might get jumped, you might get beat up, you might get shot, you might get
Yeah.
robbed. And so that's all programming code. How can you step back from that code and look at it and observe it and find ways to reprogram yourself so that you can evade these situations? Because what I find in reality and in life is that a true genius solves problems before they even happen. And
That's
you,
deep.
but you can't do that until you separate yourself from the situation and then review it from a God level and observe everything and say, oh, I need to make this move here and there and there before this happens, because this is ultimately what the outcome is going to be. If I don't make this change, the ending is not going to be what I want it to be. So if I make this
Exactly.
adjustment here and make an adjustment there, or if I think differently about this, or if I focus on this, you can always find a way to create change in your own mind through observing your conscious thoughts. And
Right.
that's how you can, like you say, ultimately unfold reality to your own benefit. You know,
Exactly.
it's amazing how many similarities, like the way that you think and how you teach, even how you teach and how you present yourself, is so similar to a lot of the things and beliefs that I have in the way things should be done. Can you tell everyone for the first time who may just be seeing you here, all my viewers and fans, like how did you get into this?
Yeah, that's definitely a good question. Well, really, like, really my whole life I kind of was always a little outside the box. I could always kind of see things. So I remember being as young as like 5 years old and telling my mom, like, hey, I'm seeing spirits. I'm
Mm.
seeing things like in my room. Like, so I kind of always was like had a certain level of clairvoyance, and I was always like just very much into like just intellectual and philosophical things, even as a young age. Like I remember when I was probably like 9 or 10 and we first got a computer, I remember like looking up on the internet like how to become more psychic, how to meditate. So I kind of just always was into this. But it's like, since I was like raised in a Christian household, I was kind of told that all of that stuff was evil and demonic and of the devil. So I kind of like, it kind of forced me to kind of like, not fully tap in because, like we just saying about the program, and now you hitting me with the fear and you telling me like, oh yeah, if reading about this stuff or studying this stuff, you're gonna go to hell or something bad is gonna happen. So I always kind of had like just a disposition towards, the more spiritual aspects of reality. And, just like over time, I started meeting certain people that was older that would give me some game here and there. Then once I got more into the internet, I started kind of like, researching more things on my own. But really, the one event that I can say that really like got me all the way tapped in, this was probably like 2011, so probably about 12 years ago. And me and a couple of my friends, we used to go to this lake like every day. It's like a lake that was in my neighborhood. And every day we would just go, we might smoke, chill, just talk about life. And there was this one particular night, it was probably like around midnight. And I don't know what made us do this. So we just started speaking our intentions into the fire. And it was a full moon too. So eventually we was like, yo, if a portal opened up in the middle of this lake, would y'all go into it? And we all said yes. And probably like 5 minutes after that, it was like a bright, all-consuming light, like a light that was so bright that you couldn't even see anything. And we all was frozen in time. Right. And then in the distance, I could see like a silhouette of like a tall, probably like an 8 foot tall being, with like kind of like some wings, kind of like a distorted face. And in that instant, I couldn't move, I couldn't speak. And when I regained consciousness, well, when we regained consciousness, we all ran, because I was probably like 18 at the time and we didn't understand what happened, but we just all ran. So once I got back to the house, I called my homies. I was like, yo, did that just actually happen? And my homie was like, yeah, that actually just happened. And so after that, like the next 3 days, I was extremely tired. And I just started getting all of these downloads. And this when I started kind of learning about the Anunnaki. I started learning about, different levels of this information. And it's like things that I had never even researched before. It's like I just started to understand all of this stuff just about the chakras and kundalini, and just, it's almost like literally the information was downloaded into my brain. And from that point, that's when I started kind of making the videos, because it was like I had to get this information out because this information was just coming to me. So that's really what pushed me over the edge to where I was like, oh no, nah, like this stuff is definitely real. It's not just, something that, is just information or just something you read about and talk about. Like, no, this is actually real, because that experience, like I've never, up until that point, I never experienced nothing like that. And like I said, I had two other friends with me that all, validated that, we had this otherworldly experience. And so from there, now I'm like Alice in Wonderland. It's like now I'm just fully immersed in it. And, from there, I just kept studying, started getting more into meditation, start doing, deeper studies, into myself and different cultures. And that's pretty much, what led me just down this path of just, just being, a content creator and talking about this stuff, because I always knew, to me it was real. But once I had that experience, I was like, man, I got to start talking about this, because, obviously I was meant, to do it.
Right. No, that's powerful, man. It's amazing because, if you've heard any of my previous stories, I have a very similar experience in terms of a contact or out of this world experience, which kind of really led me deeper on the path to where I am today.
Yeah.
And we're not the only ones. It seems like the more people that I see that are on the same frequency, on this at the same level, or moving up towards this level, there's such a crazy similarity between the experiences that have happened
Right.
to drive us in this direction. And just like with you, I had to absolutely start getting this information out. I've been holding on to it for so long because my
Exactly.
situation happened so long ago. I had been waiting and waiting and waiting, for an outlet to happen. And finally, the outlet arrived and allowed me to be able to put the information out to the world.
Yeah.
But that's just powerful, man. That's amazing. That's really, really amazing. Um,
Yeah, man.
yeah.
Life
So
changing, bro.
it's a life changer. It's no doubt why you have, why you're doing what you're doing and how you and the level that you're doing it at. Because I'm telling you, people have no idea the amount of information a person like you and I are walking around with in our head. You
Exactly.
know,
Exactly.
it's a lot, man. It's a lot. It can be overwhelming. I think a lot of people who get this much information or this much opening to wisdom and understanding, or ascension knowledge or whatever you want to call it, sometimes they actually go crazy because there's a lot of people in this
Oh yeah.
community that are kind of over the edge. They kind of
Oh
stepped
yeah.
across the line. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. Oh yeah, I know a few of them, man. Yeah, I got a couple
Yeah.
friends that is like, they like if you talk to them on a certain day, I'm talking about like they can really channel from the spirit
Hmm.
realm and give you like some deep revelations. But other
Mm.
times it's like you were saying, it can kind of like, go a little too far to the point where it's like, because you getting like this is cosmic level information. So
Yeah.
some of it isn't gonna make sense to your
Hmm.
human logical rational mind. So when you
Yep.
just downloading all this information, it can be hard to really, you know to channel it and
Discern it.
present it in a
Yeah.
way that makes sense to other people, because you can't really ever deny somebody else's experience. So if somebody is
Right.
saying like, hey, I'm communicating with these beings, or it's these people after me or whatever, like we can look at it from the outside and say, man, this person just tripping. But
Mhm.
what if this individual is actually seeing these things and we just can't see it because we're not tapped into whatever frequency that they're on? So it's definitely a thin line. I even made a video about that. Like it's a thin line between spirituality and being schizophrenic. Like a
Yes.
lot of these things can kind of like blend into each other, because even me, like it's people that are commenting on my videos like, hey man, this dude is crazy, like he talking nonsense, like
Yeah.
he just making this up. And it's like, until you're at that level of consciousness to be able to perceive it, it might sound crazy to you. So yeah, it's definitely a thin line, man. Like that's why it is important to do a lot of grounding work, meditation, breath work, connecting with nature, so that you can be able to get the cosmic information, but not let it, overtake you or like push you to these extreme, places where, you can kind of like ostracize yourself from others because you can't properly communicate it. So yeah, it's definitely a lot though, man. I tell people like, a lot of people make it seem like spirituality is just all, sunshine and rainbows, but it's definitely a dark side to this too. I think even in the Bible it says with much knowledge comes a lot of sorrow, just because it's like you still have to look out into the world, go into the matrix, and you still see people that's, blind and that's, suffering, and you have all this knowledge and you want to help them. But sometimes it's like you can give them the knowledge, but they still have to, accept it within themselves for it to actualize. So yeah, knowing all of this stuff, man, I tell people it's a gift and a curse, definitely.
Oh, definitely a gift and a curse. It's absolutely. I mean, I remember when I first, started trying to help people and try to give them some of the wisdom and some of the knowledge, and they were rejecting it, harshly.
Mm, yeah,
And I came to this understanding. I took this old adage and I added something a little extra to it. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink just because you're thirsty. I
exactly.
began to realize I can't be thirsty for everybody. They got to become thirsty for themselves,
That's facts.
And
That's facts.
yeah, and so once they become thirsty for themselves, then they'll be able to open their eyes and see a lot more. And
Right.
as I started really young, manifesting my own reality and manifesting the life that I wanted and manifesting abundance, people around me, my friends, they started getting jealous, right?
Mm,
And they started saying, "Well, man, how you doing this, and how you got that, and how come you holding out on us?"
yeah.
And so what I want to talk about a little bit now is like, how does be learning how to manifest your abundance, how does it affect people around you when people start to see you excelling and doing things that they wish and hope that they could do, or things that they have tried and failed at, but they see you excelling at it and you were at the same level as them at one point, but now you've zoomed right past them. Talk a
Right.
little bit about how that can affect people around you. And do they stay with you on the same path, or do they go their own path?
Man, this bro, like, this kind of hits close to home, because I actually had a personal experience not too long ago that speaks
Mm.
directly to this. But it all depends on the quality of the individuals. Like, I got certain friends that, they might not have gone to the level that I've gone to, but it's certain people that, at first they was kind of hating on me or didn't understand, or they kind of distanced themselves from me. But years later, once they kind of just seen the progression that I made, sometimes, people actually come into the knowledge from seeing you do it. Because it's kind of like, we all are at different stages. So, I've definitely like severed certain relationships with family and certain friends, but it's a small percentage that has also evolved with me. But, for a majority of people, yeah, you're definitely gonna kind of isolate them because people know you based upon their experiences with you. So if they met you when you was just partying, or just doing like more just typical things that people do and not really trying to get to a higher level or really change your life, when you make that shift, yeah, like I mean, they basically like, hey man, you switched up, you changed up on us, like, and it can definitely become a hostile situation. I even share this, like, so during the pandemic in 2020, I actually got shot, and I was paralyzed for about 2 years until about 2022 because of this exact question. Like, basically, um a lot of people knew me like years prior, and it's like I was kind of still on the come up. It's like I was doing me, but I was still kind of figuring all of this out. So by 2020, that was like a major shift on the planet. So it's like I kind of like really accelerated during that time. So, I was like homeless probably like 2015, 2016, traveling from place to place. It's like I had all the knowledge, but I was still figuring out how to live it and how to actualize it. So the people that knew me from back then, by the time 2020 comes, now I'm getting money. I'm starting to get a little bit of clout online. I had bought a house, I'm having cars, like all of this different stuff. So the people that knew me back then, they like, hey, bro, like shit, like, what about us? You not really hitting us up no more. You not really coming around. And it's because of the energy, because I knew, like, if a certain group of my homies really just want to get high and, just want to, be kind of more in a negative mindset, it's like I had to kind of step away just to elevate myself. But like I said, they looking at it like you kind of turned your back. So basically, as I kept ascending, one day they just, attempted to rob me, and, it went left. I ended up getting shot. I go to the hospital. I was in the hospital for about 5 months, and I got shot in my back. So the doctors was like, hey, bro, like, based on your injury, like, you will never walk again. And so that was like the original diagnosis. But, since I know the power of the mind, I'm already knowing, like, bro, it's no way that I'm gonna accept that reality. So, put in a lot of work, and I was able to, heal myself and walk again, probably like around 2022. But yeah, man, that was a harsh lesson for me to learn, because the same dudes that tried to rob me, I was actually trying to show them how to get money. I was like giving them the game, like, because I'm always transparent, like, hey, bro, anybody can do it. It may not be easy, but if you really tap in and focus, you can actually change your life. Like, but you got to let go of the bad habits. You got to let go of the negative thinking. You might have to let go of certain friends and certain family, because I mean, we talking about like your life. Like, this is really, you know, like, no one else can really do this for you. So if you're around people that's kind of like keeping you stuck at a certain level, I mean, it's either you're gonna remain at that level and be with them, or you're gonna elevate and possibly leave them behind. And like I said, it's like sometimes when you do elevate, you may lead them temporarily, but you could become the inspiration for them to start learning. So I always kind of looked at it like that, like, man, I was born into, like, the lower echelon, the lower socioeconomic, realm. So it's like, obviously, if I start coming up, the people down here, it's like, it's gonna create a certain level of resentment. But you know, one thing, last part, like, you always will attract based on, your own frequency. So you may leave people behind, but you may attract new friends or new people. And I believe that your real family isn't necessarily just your blood relatives. It's really who you connect with on a mental and a spiritual level. And that's really like the soul family. So I feel like you attract those people once you do step into, your power and becoming your best self. That's how you attract the people that's really meant to be around you. And if people don't, rock with you because of that, they was never really your friends or family to begin with.
Yeah, you hit it on the head, man. And I didn't even know about that story. That's
Yeah, bro.
powerful because it's a good example of exactly what that question was.
Yeah,
And this is
exactly.
happening to people every single day, throughout the world as people are awakening and learning and growing and becoming
Oh
better
yeah.
and walking in their own power. And the people around them are getting jealousy, envy. I had it happen to me,
Oh
and
yeah.
people around me try to rob me, try to make stuff up about me, try to find ways to bring me down. It's the old crab in the bucket story. They don't want you to
Yeah.
climb out of that bucket.
Yeah.
And I went through hell, man. I went through absolute hell. One of them stole my identity and tried to and use my name to do all kind of crazy stuff. I mean, it was just so many things, and I was like, man. But at the end of the day, just like you, I said to myself, "No, I'm too strong, man. I don't care what is being thrown at me right now. I can look up, which means I can get up, and if I can get up, I can run." And I ran as
Exactly.
far away from these people as I possibly could consciously. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got away, and I said, "Man," I looked back and I said, "Wow, I understand now. I can't be around people like this. They're not on my frequency."
Yeah.
And like
Facts.
you said, as I stepped into my true understanding of my power, the people that were supposed to be around me in the right frequency, they became drawn to me. I was like a magnet. I wasn't chasing after anybody. Now I was attracting the right people into my life. And so
Exactly.
I try to tell people, don't chase, attract, become that magnet. And so part of manifestation or part of manifesting your reality is also building that circle around you of people that are on the same frequency.
Right.
um you know and that's exactly what happens. I think when you really understand the true power and you look back and you realize you can still love people from afar. If you try to help them, you always
Yeah.
try to drop the seeds of knowledge. And when I run into some of these people, not the same exact ones, but people in that same frequency, I try to drop the seeds of knowledge. I don't give them too much because they can't handle too much. You just give them a little
Yeah.
sprinkle
Yeah.
here and there and see if that's enough to spark them to where they come back and start asking questions. And that has happened before. But at the same time, you got to realize these aren't the people I'm going to spend the majority of my time with. These
Right.
people are over there for a reason. They need time to let the water come in, let the roots grow down into the soil and get some
Exactly.
sunlight so they can grow and sprout up themselves. I'm already sprouted up. I'm not fully grown by any means, but I'm sprouted up already. So I got to be with other people who are already sprouted up already. So it's amazing. Even with family members. I
Right.
remember when I started manifesting my reality, man, and coming up much higher levels than any of the other family members. And they were not only jealous, but wanted to demand me to take care of them.
Oh yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
in
That's the
the,
real
in,
thing.
yeah, in the beginning, I was doing it. In the beginning, so and so, my ex wife, my mom needs a car. Okay, I buy them a car, cash. Here you go, boom. This one needs that. This one needs this. My insurance payments due. My car, my rent, and I got to a point. I was giving away so much money. I was like, if I keep doing this, I'm not going to have anything for myself. I won't be able to
Right.
reinvest into my own companies. And so I came to the realization I was going to have to at some point start saying no. So now I only give people what I can afford to lose. If I can't afford to lose it, I have to say no. And
Yeah.
I knew that was going to create some animosity and anger, and it did. But I said, hey, well, now I guess they won't be coming back to me because this is a new me now. And if I can give it to you and I can afford to actually lose it because I know it's never going to come back, then I'll do it. But if I can't, I just say no. So family members and friends, man, they some of them might not make the full journey with you. It's just a reality of learning your true power, walking in it, and manifesting your real life, the life that you deserve, and the life that you actually want.
Right. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
That's
man.
real, bro. Like, I mean, and that's so true what you said. It's like, I mean, you can only give people, based upon really like what they're even ready to receive. Like,
Mhm.
especially when it come to money, like, because a lot of people ask me for money and stuff, and I'm like, bro, like, even if I gave you $100,000, if you don't have a concrete plan, if you don't have like, a real, step by step, method of how you're going to, invest that money, it's really just going to turn into me just, really just enabling you to do things that's harmful. Because until the consciousness changes, it's just like, and this is kind of a weird example, but it's like certain people you might see on the street. It's like, yeah, you can give them money and it's good to, be generous. But a lot of them, if they do get the money, they may go and just, buy some drugs with it or do something that's harmful to themselves. So it's like you're kind of enabling them to do that. And, really until the mindset and, the consciousness changes, you really can only do so much to help a person. Like you can do like, you can go above and beyond and give them all the information. But, like I say, they have to be able to, really, use it in their own life. And if they're not, willing to do that, or if they're not willing to change themselves, it's kind of just, it's kind of just a cycle of just, them not really evolving, but, just being, just getting handouts basically. So, yeah, it's tough, especially with people, you want to help them, but it's like you got to help yourself at a certain point. I can help you help yourself. That's a different thing. But a lot of people really just want to live off of your accomplishments and your energy. So
Hold that thought. Let's pause for a quick break and talk about the Forbidden Conscious Awards. We're going to honor people who have been contributing to the conscious community for decades. People that you know and love that have helped you get to higher levels of thought and consciousness and awareness. It's going to be a live in-person event, but seats are going to sell out very fast. You want to make sure you're there in person. And guess what? You can help vote for the winners. Voting is available on forbiddenknowledge.com. And the categories are going to be social media influencer, podcast/radio host, TV host, actor, director, producer, entrepreneurs, health and wellness, philanthropists, authors, field researchers, archaeologists, space anomaly hunters, and of course, a Lifetime Achievement Award. I'll be your keynote speaker that night at the Forbidden Conscious Awards. We have celebrity guests performing. We'll have a halftime show where we're actually going to perform music for you. And don't forget about the pre-event mixer, where if you buy a box seat, you'll be in the VIP section, and you also have private access to a VIP mixer with celebrity guests. Shake hands, break bread, network, and then walk the red carpet with us and take amazing photos. It's gonna be a night to remember. You don't wanna forget this. Make sure you hurry up and get your tickets because they're selling out very fast. I wanna see you there. Forbidden Conscious Awards 2023. Yeah, no, that's facts. When you get on an airplane, the first thing the flight attendant says before they push back, they say, if in case we lose cabin pressure and the oxygen mask drop from the ceiling, make sure you have oxygen flowing to yourself first before you help anyone else.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So we got to have oxygen flowing. And so that and we've kind of talked a little bit of the downside of manifesting, but people have to understand this is all part of the process. As you
Right.
become a master at manifesting, these are some of the things that's going to happen to you in your life, and you have to be prepared for it.
Oh yeah.
If it's something that you decide you don't want to deal with, you want to stay where you were so that you can pacify these people, then that's okay too. It's your life. It's a free universe. You can think and do whatever you want or however you want to do it.
Right.
The free will universe. But for me, that wasn't my destiny, and my destiny was to really manifest heaven on earth for myself and my family and build a legacy. And so for those people who want to get to that level now, we've gotten through the rough part, which is okay. Identifying the circle was no good. Got to dump the circle. Got to build and create and attract a brand new circle. Some family members are going to be pissed off. Some family members may not want to ever speak to you again, as a matter of fact.
Right.
I've had that happen as well, right? And so it is what it is. Now we've gotten past that point. Now we understand we're walking in our power. How does a person go about, from your perspective, continuing to build and manifest their reality based on conscious thought backed by actions?
Right. Yeah, you really already said it. Conscious thoughts and actions. Just like, first you develop the roadmap. So, where you want to be, you have to be able to clearly see exactly what that is. A lot of people try to manifest, but they're not really specific enough with their intention. So that's the first thing, because you can say like, oh yeah, I want to, be famous, or I want to have a lot of money. But if you don't specify, in what ways you want to do that, you could get it, but it might not even be the way that you truly want it. Like, so that's really the first thing, is like having a clear roadmap of where you want to be. And once you have that, it's about aligning yourself energetically with that reality. So a lot of people make the mistake because they say that they want X, Y, and Z, but their energy doesn't match what they're trying to manifest. So you have to be walking around every day as if you already have the things that you want, because you walking in that energy would basically help you attract it faster. See, a lot of times people say, "Oh yeah, I want this. I want this amazing life," but then 30 minutes later, they start dwelling on the things that they don't have. They start dwelling on all the problems, and they start looking at all the obstacles that's in front of them, that's preventing them from getting there. And instead of like saying, "Okay, look, this is how I can overcome this," they just get wrapped up in all the problems. And we see this on social media. Like, a lot of content creators, they'll constantly talk about what the government is doing. They constantly talk about all the conspiracies, but they never really tell you how to empower yourself. They just keep telling you how bad everything is, and how the government is gonna come for you and take all your freedoms. And it's like, if you keep feeding into that versus feeding into ways that you can become powerful, that you can start to create your own life, then you're basically kind of giving your energy to what you don't want. So I think a lot of people unconsciously do that, is that they give their energy to the things that they don't want instead of what they do want. And once you have that part, it's a daily process. A lot of people, they want things, but they don't understand that it'll always take work. Like, if you want $1 million, like, I doubt that $1 million is just going to, appear in your room in front of you without you doing any effort. I mean, if you can pull that off, hats off to you. But generally, it's going to come down to you, coming up with a plan, coming up with some type of business. It may require you to actually learn new things. And that's all a part of manifestation. It's like I say, manifestation just will attract the opportunities for you to get what you need, but you still have to make it happen. So like, if you was an actor or somebody, you going to auditions and you going to events, that's a part of you, manifesting that reality, because you already had the thought, okay, I want to be an actor, I want to get to this next level. So you're doing the tangible work, you working on yourself, you meeting people. So boom, one day you might get that call like, "Hey, look, we got this role, we think you might be a good fit." But you still have to get the part, which means you still have to perform well enough to solidify, that manifestation. So, it's a full process. Is walking every day as if you already have it. Then it's like having a real, path to actually get there. And once you have those two things, it's really just staying consistent and not allowing the negativity and the doubt to creep in, because anytime you start doubting, you basically just are delaying the manifestation from coming, because the universe doesn't really get into like like good and bad, or it's just going straight off energy. Excuse me. So if you're like constantly sending out mixed signals, then you're gonna get mixed results, because the universe is like, okay, you told me you wanted this, but your actions and your thoughts are not reflecting. So it was on the way coming to you, but now all the doubt, all of the limiting beliefs, that's basically just delaying whatever it is you're trying to manifest. So I think if you can do those things, you'll be in a much more empowered position to attract and manifest whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it, man. A lot of the same concepts and ideas that I teach, you just went over them just in that 3 to 4 minutes. And what I like about this is I like people to hear what I think and how I teach from somebody else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because when they only hear you all the time, it's almost like you like you're a parent of, you got your kids and you keep tell your kids this, but when somebody else comes and tells me like, oh, so and so said this and this,
Yeah.
they be like, I've been telling you that since you were born, but they
Yeah,
don't hear it
exactly.
all the time, so it's so good and refreshing, man, to have you on here to say things exactly the way that my mind works and thinks and how I've been manifesting and creating my own reality. I
Right.
mean, verbatim, like literally what you just said, verbatim.
Yeah.
Anyone listening to this video, if you have any doubt on what the steps what you need to take to create your reality, rewind this video, press play, and listen to what he said over and over and over again.
Oh,
Then
yeah.
sit down and begin to draw your plan out, create your actionable steps, design your goals, and go to work.
Exactly.
Go to work. I was talking to Richard Merritt the other day, Black Magic 363 on YouTube,
Yeah.
and he said something to me. He said, Billy, I don't know how you do all this stuff. He's like, we got the same day, but I can't figure out like how do you get all this stuff done?
Yeah.
And and he's been here to my house and everything. We've worked for years together, right?
Yeah.
But it's all about the organizational process. It's all about understanding how to build teams. It's all about how to have structure and set that structure up.
Right.
And of course, at the end of the day, it's still all about hard work, but also making breaks in between to give yourself time to regenerate and ground yourself, And
Right.
so it's this kind of this process that you get into. It's almost like swimming, when you take that, that stroke and you look up and you take that gasp of air, right? Before you go over to the next stroke. And
Yeah.
so it's just finding this rhythm in the way that you move and work, and you get into this flow. And when you get into this energetic flow or this flow state, man, it just at some point for me, it just becomes really easy. And I
Right.
look up 3-4 weeks, a year, 2 years, 5 years down the road, I look back and I go, damn, I got a lot of stuff done,
Right.
But
Right.
I didn't have a lot of wasted space. That's the difference between me and a lot of people. There's a lot of wasted space in between where they get caught up, self-sabotaging. They get caught up being lazy. They get caught up procrastinating. They
Yeah.
get caught up getting distracted, right? And for whatever reason, I don't have a lot of those problems. I'm so laser focused and I know what's laid out before me. I know that there's a particular time frame that I gave myself to achieve a lot of these goals. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, boom, 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 boom. I remember I wrote myself a check for $1 million. This is about
Right.
maybe now it maybe was 12 years ago or something like that.
Okay.
And I got the $12 million.
Right.
Then I went to $1 million. Then I wrote myself a check for $20 million. I
Right.
ended up getting the $20 million, right?
Yeah.
So I was getting ready to write myself a new check.
Yeah.
And I almost wrote a check for $100 million.
Okay.
And I was like, wait a minute, $100 million? Why would I write myself a check for $100 million? Let me
Yeah.
write myself a check for $1 billion.
Right.
So I wrote myself a check for $1 billion. I gave myself an expiration date. That check has to be cashed on or before October of 2026.
Okay.
Sometime in October of 2026, that check is coming due, and I expect to be paid. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's definitely coming.
Yeah. And that's
Definitely.
the mindset. That's how you have to do it. Looking, that was before I was working on taking Forbidden Knowledge public. And now we're in the process of doing a Reg A Plus. And then our ultimate goal is to uplist to NASDAQ probably end of this year or the beginning of next year.
Okay. That's what's up, man.
Yeah, thank you. And there's over 1 billion shares in the company, of which I have a controlling portion of. And so when this company does go public, I will be a billionaire.
Right.
And so I didn't even know about that. The going public thing is only a year and a half in the making. I signed that check for $1 billion back in 2018. So it shows you like you were talking about when you were saying, like, sometimes opportunities are going to start coming your way as you're working on manifesting. So, and the ideas and the concepts and the connections and everything, the plugs, it all starts to work together. The universe starts to send all the stuff right toward you. You have to discern and understand how to utilize these tools to get to the end result.
Facts.
And the
Yeah.
concept and idea of, building this company, taking the subscribers and the followers with me on this journey of success, giving them the ability to earn and learn at the same time. And at the
Right.
end of the day, ultimately hitting that $1 billion status. And so it
Oh
just
yeah.
came to me and I said, this is going to be the new goal. And we began working on it. And I set up teams and put people in place to help build it and bankers and everything else. And now we're right at the precipice, we're right at the edge. But it all started years ago before
Right.
any of these real hard details even existed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. That's where it starts, man. Like, and that's what I tell people too. Is like, especially the bigger the goal is, you gotta have like, perseverance. It's like,
Mm.
if you look at anybody that was successful, they had that fire within them years before it happened. Like anybody you can think of, like most of your entertainers, most of your authors, most of like anybody that we look at and say, oh yeah, this is someone that really did something great. They had to have that belief in themselves before any of that came. So a lot of times we see somebody that is has a lot of money or has a lot of status in society or whatever, and we think like, oh, like they just have it or they just always had it, when a lot of these people because I think I was reading something the other day, and I may be getting the exact percentage off, but they was like, I think it's around 70% of all millionaires are first generation self-made millionaires. So it's like a lot of these people that's getting rich and doing all of these things, they didn't really just have like a big inheritance, or they didn't really have just like an easy path. They had to actually like have the belief and put in the work to do it. And so yeah, it's like no matter how bad your situation is, because it was a certain time, bro, like I said, I was homeless, and I literally had no money. Like it was a certain point in my life where I was trying to figure out where my next meal was going to come from, where I was going to lay my head down. So to go from that to being where I'm at now, where it's like, I'm financially free, I have like, the ability to, have a community and, to be able to travel and do all of these things. If you would have saw me 10 years ago in just how I was living, you might, like, the average person wouldn't think it was possible. But even back then, I knew, I was like, man, all of this hard, these harsh, journeys that I'm going through, this is preparing me to get to that next level, because now I can enjoy it more. That's why I'm kind of glad that I wasn't just born super rich and just having everything, because I probably wouldn't even, it probably wouldn't mean anything. The
Yeah.
fact that I know what it's like to struggle, I know what it's like to not have this makes me want to put this information out even more, because I can relate to people at every level. I can relate to somebody that's really going through it right now, that may, be going through homelessness, or may, not just be where they at. They may be stuck in a job. And I'm telling them like, yo, I literally started with nothing, and just based on energy, just based on work, based on, having the belief and the confidence to go after my dreams. Like that is really what just took me, to higher and higher levels. So I just try to tell people like, bro, it don't matter how bad it seems, you're still in control of creating the future. And it first has to start in the present. And that's, to me, I just think if more people kind of adopted that mindset, instead of just looking at their current situation and thinking that, this is just it, this is how it has to be. Like, no, it doesn't. Like, even if we just look at America, like, people had to build all of this stuff, like all these buildings, all these houses, people had to actually build it. A group of people had the vision for it, but it still had to be built. So, everything, man, is possible, bro. Like everything, it's like everything starts from zero when you really think about it. When you first open up your Instagram account, your YouTube, you start with 0 subscribers,
Yeah.
and it's
That's
like,
so true.
it's like, yeah, you can put out videos and be like, man, I'm not really growing. And it's like, what you
Mm.
gonna do? Are you gonna quit, or are you just gonna get better, make better content, and stay consistent? Because that's really the only way that you can grow, on social media. It's like if you just get discouraged after the first couple months and be like, oh man, it's not working. Well, you just told the universe that you don't want to actually grow. You would rather just quit and give up. And so, I just apply that to every aspect of life, bro. Like, I'm just super, motivated. Like every day I wake up, the first thing I tell myself is today is the best day of my life. That's the first thing I say. Like that's like my mantra, my daily mantra when I wake up. And so like every day, if you just like even something as simple as that, just telling yourself that every day, eventually you're gonna have the best day of your life and something magical is gonna happen just based on that belief. Because a lot of people wake up really dreading the day that's before them, or they mad about something that happened yesterday and they don't understand. Every day you wake up, bro, it's a new opportunity. It's really a whole new life, And so, each day you wake up, man, you just got to have that mindset of, today is the day that everything could change, no matter how bad my week, my month, my year was. Just the fact that, I got another chance, it's an opportunity to, to make something happen.
Yeah, man. So much powerful, so many powerful lessons you just spoke just now. Going back a little bit into when you first started talking about this, I remember, when I was a kid in elementary school. This is back in the 1970s. I'm back in third grade now,
Yeah.
and I was in, I think, forget the name of that teacher. I think her name was Miss Alvarez, but it was in the hood, in the ghetto. And I
Yeah.
remember the day that she told everyone to stand up and say what they're going to do for a living. What do you want to do for a living when you grow up? And everybody started standing up and talking about, I want to be a nurse, or, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a janitor, the usual stuff, a garbage man. And I jumped up with excitement. It was like, I'm going to be famous and be on TV. And the teacher literally shot me down. She
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, Billy, look where you live. Look where you come from. You're too poor. You're not going to be famous and be on TV. Like, pick something better. Pick something more
Yeah.
appropriate." And
Yeah.
all the
Trying to
kids
limit
started
you.
laughing at me. Oh my God, bro! I started crying. I ain't gonna lie. I was crying like a baby in there.
Oh yeah, I
But in
already
my
know.
brain, I was like, "I'm still gonna do it."
Yeah.
you know.
That's what I'm saying. You gotta
And
have that mindset.
yeah, you got to have the mindset. I mean, and you turn around. I mean, you turn around now, years later, decades later. I'm on so many TV channels right now. It ain't even funny. I'm on Discovery Channel, Science Channel, History Channel, Travel Channel. I'm on
Oh
three
yeah.
shows on the Travel Channel at the same time.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Oh
gonna be
yeah.
on Ancient Aliens coming out next month. I'm on my own TV network, which is full of shows, podcasts, YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So I wish I could find her and send her a TV.
Oh yeah.
If she's
I
still
mean, hey
alive.
man, she probably gonna end up just seeing you anyway, because you
Yeah,
only gonna keep getting bigger. So eventually,
right.
she ain't gonna have no choice but to see you and just, go back to
True.
that moment. Like, damn,
Yeah,
like, he really
I
did it.
know. Right. And the point I'm making about this is when we have these situations that come up in our lives that's trying to destroy our plan for manifestation, our own future or reality, when somebody comes and shoots you down like that, you got to see it as an opportunity for more growth.
Right.
Like I could have saw that and the embarrassment and the people and my friends laughing at me. Like, I mean, how kids are, but they was just barely laughing, like, and they laughed at me
Yeah.
for days actually. Right. They would see me in the hallway and laugh and stuff.
Yeah.
And an average person would have taken that and gotten PTSD. They would have been like, you know what? Forget about that dream. Forget about that idea. That was stupid of me. Look at all these people laughing at me. They're making fun of me every single day. The teacher shot me down. But my brain didn't process it like that.
Mm.
I think my screen froze again. Am my screen frozen?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I
Okay,
think you are
it's
froze.
recording, so it doesn't matter. So, but see, this is why you got to have the backup record. Okay, good.
Okay, yeah, you good now.
About where did it freeze up? Right now.
Yeah, you was talking about how they was laughing at you.
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, you was going into like the later part of that story.
Okay, cool. So the kids were laughing at me, and making fun of me in the hallway and everything. And I could have taken that laughter and the picking and the making fun of and what the teacher told me I couldn't do. I could have took that and developed PTSD, and I could have been like, you know what, they're right. Whatever. What was I thinking about? There's no. Well, who am I to think I can be famous and I can be on TV? I'm just going
Yeah.
to settle for being a garbage man or a janitor. Not that there's anything wrong with those jobs, but
Yeah.
that just wasn't part of my reality, my dream.
Right.
And so I didn't succumb to that. What I saw was, okay, this is pretty messed up what y'all just did to me here, but I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to dedicate my life to showing you that what you said I couldn't do, I am going to do. So it actually drove me instead of putting me down and making me self sabotage myself and feel like I wasn't worthy of anything.
Right.
So the average person, they say, you know what, man, damn, this is crazy. Maybe they're right. But instead of developing PTSD, I developed something called PTG, post traumatic growth. And so
Mm.
if you again separate yourself from the situation, observe the situation from the outside looking in, from a higher dimension looking down on it, you can see where you could pick things apart and realize, oh, this is just another speed bump. Oh,
Right.
this is just another blind side. Okay, that's all right. Let them have their fun and their laughter because now I'm going to dedicate myself to showing them that I can actually make this happen. And so that's what I went about doing. And that's how I really fueled a lot of my early development and growth and manifesting came from that situation in the third grade. It drove
Mm.
me like you wouldn't believe it. It actually still drives me till this very day. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people can get a lesson from what you're talking about, what I'm talking about, where when these things come to hold you back or shoot you down or tell you you can't do this or try to rob you of your dreams, man, don't let it. Don't
Right.
let it happen. It's just a part of the process. When you're getting ready for to come closer to your biggest breakthrough, that's when the biggest obstacles are going to arise in your life and make it seem like it's insurmountable, like you can't do it. But we
Exactly.
are truly powerful beings and we have the power to move mountains with our minds. And as
Facts.
long as we understand that all is mind and mind is everything, and we are gods walking in the flesh, you can overcome any obstacle. You'll find a way around it, under it, through it. If you don't know how to do that, you'll find somebody to help and assist you, talk to them, get advice on how to get around it or get over it.
Right.
And I think if people take that mindset, man, this world would be a totally different place. What do you
Oh
think?
yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely, man. Yeah, you hit it right on the head, bro. It's like, you should definitely use, because it's like even with social media. Like I tell people, like, I love getting negative comments because for one thing, it's really just all energy. So I know how to use that negative energy and be the alchemist and turn it from negative to positive. Because for one thing, the people that's really hating on you, those are really the people that really kind of have like a secret love for you, like deep down inside of them. Because if you really thought I was this bad person or I was saying something wrong, you wouldn't watch the videos. The fact that you consistently comment and trying to argue, it's really something that it is something in within the video and the message that you resonate with. You just fighting yourself. So you're kind of like, trying to project that. But yeah, you should always use, trials and tribulations and challenges as, opportunities to grow. It's just like if you're trying to get stronger in the gym, you have to lift weights that's heavier and heavier. You got to go through harder and harder challenges to get stronger. So in life, when we're confronted with these obstacles, it's really just the universe trying to get us to level up. And based upon how you perceive these situations will determine how you navigate through them. Because like you were saying, you could have let them crush your dream, or you can say, really, this is motivation for me to do it. And I think everyone should have that mentality, bro, because a lot of times the way the universe operates sometimes, because it's almost like the universe it has like a sense of humor in a certain way. Like the universe would just throw a curveball just to see, man, are you really about this life? Or are you just, just saying that you about this life? Because if you really about this life, you won't allow anybody's opinion, you won't allow any setback, you won't allow anything to stop you, and a good a good analogy I like to use is like, just even like going back to slavery, like if it was people that literally escaped slavery, risked their life and went on to become, people that we read about today, it's like that should just tell you, like, bro, like anything that's put here to try to stop you, if you just keep having the mindset like, nah, like I'm not gonna allow this to stop me, you can overcome any of this stuff. Especially today, man, I feel like we have more opportunities than really in any other time. It's so much information out here. It's so many ways to actualize your dream that I feel like it's almost no excuse. Like, it's really at this point, where we're at energetically and all the portals that's open, it's really you against you at this point. Anybody else or any of this outside, like, you just got to be able to tune all that out, and like I say, just use it as fuel to motivate you. So yeah, I mean, I went through that too, man. So many people told me what I couldn't do and what wasn't possible and I should just give up, but that's not even an option for me.
I love it. I love it. It'll and see. I'm glad you said it. It's going to happen over and over throughout your journey.
Oh yeah.
You may think you made it to this space now where you got the right people around you, everybody believes in you, and everything else. But there's always going to be something, whether it's a comment or there's something that you didn't see from the outside, a person you might have just recently met, you thought was on the same frequency, that now they surprised you and whatever. And it's
Right.
this ongoing process as you keep growing that, these slight curveballs, as you call it, will come your way, just test you and say, hey, are you really about this life?
Exactly.
And you really better be about it, because, once you let that doubt creep in, and
Oh
that and
yeah.
that PTSD and that self-sabotaging mindset then takes over, and then the procrastination kicks in, then it's all down the hill. That you can rise fast, you can go sink just as fast.
Right.
So you gotta grab hold of what you have. You gotta really believe in yourself. Like you said,
Right.
it's you against yourself. Once you lose self-belief, it's all downhill from there. You know,
Exactly.
um,
Exactly.
yeah. Fortunately, a lot of us will get to a point where we can maintain our self-belief no matter what happens. There's nothing that can hit me now. I got some news today that was kind of like another curveball earlier
Yeah.
today. Now, I can look back and see the growth of myself, because I can see where 15 years ago or 20 years ago, if I got that news, I might have been like, oh man, you see, this is what I'm talking about, blah, 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 blah.
Hmm.
Today I was like, oh man, I'm not even worried about this. I'm saying?
Right.
This is not even a big deal, because we're going to find a way to work around this, situation. And
Right.
but that's growth, that's understanding, that's belief in self, that's understanding I know how to navigate these waters out through this matrix, right?
Right.
But that comes also with a little bit of experience. So the message to people is like, hey, when you see these things coming up in the horizon, you thought you were on a good, strong path, and all of a sudden you got knocked down again, or something came to try to knock you down. Just understand it's all part of the process. So it's pretty good. It's amazing
Exactly.
having you on here, man. I gotta have you come back on here a lot more.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
always down, man. I'm always down, bro, to
yeah,
build. I mean, this is like, it's an honor, bro. I'm always, anytime you can connect with the like mind,
yeah.
that's always, and then it's like we also putting the information out there for other people, so it
Mhm.
really just creates like, a positive feedback loop to where
Yeah,
it's like we all benefit from each other and all help each other grow. So yeah, man, I'm
right.
always down, bro.
Yeah, definitely. If you can give the listeners a final note or fact or anything enlightening about, manifesting, or any other thing about life, what would you tell them?
Um, yeah, like ultimately at the end of the day, just know that you already have the answers that you're seeking for. The key is really to be able to look within yourself. This is why I stress about meditation. This is why I stress about, going out in nature. This is why I stress about, just becoming more aware of yourself spiritually, because, I believe that we all have infinite potential, and some of us are more tapped into our potential than others, but we all have that potential. Like, I've seen so many people literally transform their lives, like, and sometimes it doesn't even take like a super long time. Like, I've seen people go from being broke to millionaires. I've seen people that was like super out of shape, become like bodybuilder fitness gurus. Like, I've seen people literally shift and transform. So my overall message is just to never give up hope, never lose faith in yourself, never let somebody else define your reality for you, and really just stay focused. Like, I really believe, like, if you stay focused, stay consistent, stay dedicated and disciplined, that it's really nothing that can stop you, other than yourself. Like, it'll always be roadblocks, it'll always be challenges. That's a part of the journey. It makes you stronger. And at the end of the day, everything that you go through, it really just gives you more to, really help others go through. Because if I didn't go through all the hardships that I went through, I wouldn't really be able to tell other people that it's possible. So, I just say embrace the good and the bad, because it's really all subjective on what's good and bad. And sometimes the bad things can actually lead to the best things. And that's kind of like a weird, contradiction. But, even back to like when I was paralyzed, it's like that was the worst time of my life, but it was also the best time, because I was forced to go deeper within myself than I had ever been. So that's really the key. It's like, if you're able to just go within and, really reprogram your mind. It's like a lot of us aren't even really aware of just, how often we're just in a negative mindset just when it comes to our own selves. A lot of people, their default, mental state is more on the negative side. So, like actually telling yourself, like I tell people, you sometimes you might have to actually just stand in the mirror for 20 or 30 minutes and just tell yourself, hey, I love myself. I'm an amazing being that's, accomplishing all my dreams. I'm beautiful. Like, you have to tell yourself these things, because a lot of us, like the story you had in third grade, some of us never got over those, traumatic events. So we're holding on to the resentment, we holding on to the pain, and you can't receive anything if your hand is closed. You got to release, all of the past and, emotional baggage and all of the trauma to be able to receive something new. So that's really, I'll just leave people with that, embrace the now. It's 2023. Like, it's so much opportunities out here. Don't get distracted by the media that's trying to tell you how bad everything is. Like I'm not in a recession. I'm not in a war with people. I'm not, I'm in a state of bliss. I'm in a state of, extreme abundance and happiness, and I dictate that based upon me being in control of my reality. So that's what I leave people with. Just know that you're in control, and even if you think you're not, you still are, because you control how you react to what's going on.
So powerful. Merkabah 13, thank you for coming on today. Tell everyone how they can find you on social media.
Oh yeah, you can find me on all platforms at Merkabah 13, MERKABAH 13. Yeah, I'm on pretty much all platforms: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. So yeah, definitely give me a follow. I'm pretty much making content every day. I got some events coming up, in the future. I got a lot of stuff I'm working on behind the scenes. So definitely tap in.
All right, beautiful. Hey, thanks for coming on the show today, man. I appreciate you.
Oh yeah, man. Thanks for having me, bro. And definitely, we got to do it again soon, bro.
Oh yeah, definitely. We will. That's a guarantee. We're gonna do some
Right.
workshops, classes. Oh, by the way, before we go, you were nominated for a Forbidden Conscious Award.
Oh yeah, right, right. Yeah, I've been telling people to vote. People said they've been voting for me.
You got a lot of votes. I ain't gonna lie, you do have a lot of votes. Hopefully,
Okay.
we see you down there in Miami. Are you gonna be able to come down to the event?
When is it?
July 30th this year.
July
About
30th.
5 weeks, 6 weeks from now, I think it is now. 5 or
Okay.
6 weeks from now, July 30th. It'll be down in Miami at the Adrian Arts Center. It's a
Okay.
real nice venue. It's like a 10-star venue. It kind of rivals the Sydney Opera House. That's how beautiful this place is when you walk
Okay.
in. It's going to be an amazing event. We're going to give away a brand new Audi A4 live at the event to someone sitting
Okay.
in the audience. Some random person who bought a ticket is going to get a car,
That's dope.
which we just bought actually yesterday. and it's
Okay.
going to be a beautiful event. Got a lot of celebrities coming down, some big names that I can't announce ahead of time. They have to just see them when they're there. But
Right.
we have some A-list celebrities and so forth, and even NBC News is
Okay.
coming to cover this event because they're like, "What is going on over here?" You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right, right. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
they definitely gotta, get a glimpse of the future.
yeah,
Uh
absolutely. So, yeah. But anyway, we'll talk about it off camera. But we definitely would
okay.
love to see you down here in Miami. All right.
Oh yeah.